Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon, here for Tabletop Tap Room. Today we're talking about OSR values, and we're talking about OSR values because there is well, let's start it this way. As you go through life, you meet good people. And I think you meet more good people than you meet bad people, jerks. And there are jerks in life. And you remember the jerks. They stand out because you have conflict with them. Well, by and large, there's just this nameless, faceless crowd of good people that you encounter. You don't think much about. They don't stand out. They don't stay in your memory. It's like when you go to the gas station. You're walking in the gas station. Guy's walking out. He holds the door for you. You say, thanks. He's like, no problem. By the time you bought your Gatorade and paid for it, you completely forgot about that guy. Okay? But he's one of the good people. Why? He showed you respect. He held the door. You showed him respect. You said thank you. He's one of the good people. But he's nameless and faceless. And I think there's far more of the good people are just nameless and faceless. Why? In part because they're not really looking for recognition. They're a good person. They know they're a good person. They're not looking for you to be like, oh my God, they're a good person. They're not looking for the recognition on it. They're just a good person because they are. And I think that more people in life are good people than there are the jerks. I really think that the ratio is like, I want to say 1 out of 100, but I don't even know. It's not scientific. I'm just making up a number. I actually think it's less than 1%. But for the sake of argument, let's just say it's 1 out of 100. It's a jerk. But honestly, I feel like it's less than 1%. You go through life, and there's some concern because we have jerks in the hobby, and I've seen some statements, and I've actually expressed some statements similar along this line that we don't want to let the jerks control the narrative. We don't want to let the jerks taint the whole hobby. And that was in part why I developed this OSR values, to try to control the narrative, to say, hey, we promote OSR values, and OSR values are only show respect, OSR. It's not terribly original, but it works. It's kind of like, remember back when the what would Jesus do? T-shirts were popular. People would wear those, like, it was a statement, well, what would Jesus do? Just do that, I never wore any of those, but this is kind of my "What would Jesus do" T-shirt. Only show respect, but it's for gaming. It's not for church. So we have a jerk in the hobby, and this jerk relies on intimidation and manipulation. And I came to a realization that this guy has no friends because that's all he understands. And like when he sees me doing something out of friendship for, somebody like Don Samora at Wizard Tower Games, because I like Don, friends with Don, Eric's friends with Don. He wants to recharacterize it in terms of intimidation and manipulation. It's because he has no friends. This guy is devoid of friends because that's all he knows is intimidation and manipulation. And those things are not working for him in his present endeavor. And so it's making him frustrated. On top of that, he sued a big corporation, and now discovery is happening. The big corporation has countersued him. Discovery is happening. He's beginning to see who has been deposed as part of discovery. You show your cards to the other side, because it might save the court the time, because somebody might go, oh, we better settle. Except it doesn't look like the big corporation wants to settle. There was an assumption they would just settle. They would never go to court. It's beginning to look like they want to go to court. Like their case is that good. They can't lose. So that's what it's beginning to look like. Now, I don't know. Not a lawyer, not a judge. I don't know. But that's what it's beginning to look like. Like, they're like, nah, we're not interested in settling. We're not. We'll go to court. We like our chances. But anyhow, discovery's been happening. which means you get to see who's been deposed, who's on the witness list. Key documents are provided to the other side so they understand where you're coming from. This is part of the whole process. And, so he's beginning to see who's lined up against him, who has sided with the enemy. Basically, it's just good people saying, all right, yeah, you want me to tell what I know? Fine. I'll answer the deposition. I'll answer the summons to come to court. I'll just tell what I know. Why? Because they're good people, and they're just going to say, hey, this is what I saw. This is what I heard. Dun, 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 dun. And done. Well, it's leaving him feeling alone and desperate and cut off and out of control. And when a small person like that is feeling the loss of control, they lash out. That's what's happened. He's created a sock puppet. He's gone back on Twitter, and he's lashed out with the most vile vomit possible. Okay. It's just, we understand what it is. Small individual, man-child, desperate and afraid. It's going to lash out. Now, sad thing is we got another year, 52 weeks plus a couple of months, so call it 60 some odd weeks to put up with this, because the pattern is that on the weekend, in the evening, you at some point get this spew, like not every single weekend, but at some point it's on a weekend in the evening. And so we speculate that there's alcohol, some sort of chemical, liquid encouragement, liquid courage. And all of a sudden this stuff comes out of his mouth. Well, out of his fingers typing it. That's our speculation. So we've got 60 more weeks of this. In any week we don't get it, that's just a bonus. That's a plus. So we have to live with it. There are jerks everywhere in life. Jerks in your family, jerks at your church, jerks at your work. There's going to be jerks in the hobby. Can't be helped. And even if, let's say, aliens showed up and they said, look, we're going to abduct somebody. Take them off the planet Beetlejuice. We want to do medical experiments, probe them, whatever. We're going to pick one person. We'll let you vote. And if we all voted the jerk off the island and the aliens took them to planet Beetlejuice and did their medical probing experiments, whatever, and we'd be all like, yay, ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, the wicked. We'd be all like, the jerk is gone. And we'd be excited and celebrate. Yes. Well, there's always more jerks in life. You get rid of the jerk today, there'll be another jerk tomorrow. Maybe not 24 hours later, but there'll be another jerk tomorrow. Sooner or later, another one going to turn up. Or maybe an old one will raise his ugly head. Who knows? So there's something we're going to live with because of all the people in the world are a group. There's a subset that are called jerks. So if you have people in a hobby, somebody's going to be a jerk. Can't be helped. It's just part of what it is. So what do we do? Well, sometimes the best thing to do, if somebody's harming somebody else with their verbal spew, the best thing to do sometimes is call it out. I remember a situation on the job site, construction, and working on a duplex. It was framed up, no sheetrock, so everybody could see everybody in this building. You had myself and my business partner, Ed. We were plumbers. There were 2 electricians. There were 2 HVA, AC guys. And then like 16 carpenters. And we used the term carpenter loosely. If somebody shows up with a hammer, yeah, I'm a carpenter. The bar was low. The bar was low for some of these guys. We'll just say that. And so we're on this job site. You work in an area, other people work in other areas, try to stay out of each other's way. Well, one guy was being really inappropriate, and which is kind of hard to imagine because like there are things said on construction job sites that you wouldn't say in church, you wouldn't say in other job sites. I wouldn't even repeat them at the gaming table. I mean, it's just inappropriate. But this guy was being exceptionally inappropriate. And I forget what it was, but it must have been really crude, crass. And it was bothering me. And I could see because we were focusing with the electricians because we'd be on, new house construction and, it's these electricians again. And they'd be like, and they come in and they'd razz us. The effing plumbers, and just so they give us a little bit and we give them a little bit. So you get to be friendly with them. And I could see that they were like, whoa, uncomfortable with what was being said. And all of a sudden, Ed, my partner, says, he went, hey, it was one of those where you project your voice, not really so much a yell, but where you project the voice, you give it some power. And they train cops in that where they project their voice so that they give an order. People kind of make people freeze up and react to them. And so Ed did that, and he pointed. So everybody looks at Ed because he made a noise and it drew attention. But then they see his finger and they all look where his finger's pointing. And so he's like, hey, what are you doing? Knock that off. And so you have like 20 people suddenly, all 20 people on this job site, like looking at this one guy. And so just by calling it out, and he did the technique of pointing the finger. So because he made the noise, everybody looks at him, but because he's pointing the finger, everybody looks where his finger's pointing to see what he's pointing at. It's just, natural reaction. So all of a sudden, 20 people are now looking at this guy, and it made him uncomfortable. And, now another day, a couple of days go by, it's a new week. We're still on that same job site. There's a lot to do. Water piping and waste piping. It's not like electrical, running, electrical. It takes time. And so we're still on this job site, and it's just us, and the most of the carpenters are up on the roof hammering away. And, we can hear that guy, MF plumbers, running his mouth. But he's just running his mouth. Wasn't, just a job. It's construction. If you go a day without hearing, MF and other choice words that you'd expect from a sailor, wow, that was something, So it was not like it was a big deal, but he was running his mouth. And I looked at Ed and he's like, let him run his mouth. But the fact that he got called out shut him down. And I think that's just what good people should do. Hey, what are you doing? Point the finger. Because all heads go right there. Now, that may not work in every single situation, and, might not work for a, 600-pound gorilla. Uses vehicle tire chains for his, nose ring. May not work in that circumstance. 900-pound biker dude named Bubba, he might be like, I do what I want. But I think most of the time it works. I think, sure, there's probably circumstances where it doesn't, but I think most of the time just calling it out and point the finger shines a light on it, makes people uncomfortable. And, I think it works. Now, I think that's what we should do. Call it out. Somebody's being inappropriate. You're at the gaming table. They want to talk politics. This political dingleberry over here is the worst thing ever happened to a country, or this political doofus over here, just call it out. Hey, what are you talking about? We're here to game. If you want to talk politics, go to the voting booth. Something simple. Just call it out, and it should take care of itself. We're here to game. Okay, and I think that's all it really takes, because most people are good people. Because on that job site, when Ed called that guy out, somebody else went, "Yeah, you need to shut your mouth," and then somebody else went, "Yeah, it's enough." Only took one person calling it out. And next thing you know, not only you have 20 heads looking at the guy, now you got a chorus of voices going, "Yeah," but it only takes one person to call it out. And then other people will chime in. They'll support you. They'll be like, "Yeah, this guy's bad news." But if you call it out and the guy stops, then fine. Keep on gaming. So we have this jerk. We have to live with him. We do call him out. I like to call him out. Tenkar really likes to call him out. I'm getting tired of having to call this guy out. It's such a waste of time, waste of space, as far as I'm concerned. But I do appreciate when everybody else chimes in chorus, because, it just tells me you're good people. You're the kind of people I want to game with. You're good people. You chime in, chorus in. "Yeah, this guy's bad news. Yeah, this guy's terrible. Yeah, this is out of line. This stuff's just really low class, low rent." So, it just tells me that more people in the hobby are good people than there are jerks. You know what that means? It means that the jerks can't rule the hobby. I know there's a concern that if we let these people run their mouths, they're going to taint the hobby. Honestly, there's just too many good people. In part, that's why I developed OSR values. To say, no, we need to control the narrative a little bit. We need to push OSR values. Only show respect. But there's too many good people. And there's a value to pushing good values. So I'm going to continue pushing this. You'll continue seeing it ghosted up in the corner of my my videos. You'll see it, me using it here and there. Hell, I even bought a tote bag with OSR values on it for Tammy. One of those canvas tote bags. You can take this to the convention. She likes those tote bags. So, I'm going to promote this. Only show respect. Because you know what? Here's the other side. Forgetting the jerk for a minute. I don't want a game with only people who think exactly like me. Because what happens? I can kind of predict how the game's going to go. And that's boring. If somebody sits down across the gaming table from me and they are a different ethnicity, different culture, forget the skin color thing. Skin color is only skin deep. It's about ethnicity, culture. Those things have greater value. Maybe they have a different political persuasion. They voted for somebody I didn't vote for. Maybe they have a different religion or a different orientation. Okay, all of these things means they think differently. Because if they thought just like me, then they'd be just like me in ethnicity and culture. in political persuasion and religious persuasion and, social values. But when they don't have the same isms as me, they end up thinking differently. And that means that they place different values on different strategic decisions, on different tactical decisions, on different role play decisions. And that makes for a better game. Because if I don't know what your moves are going to be, it's harder for me to predict. I've got to invest more in it. I don't have to phone the game in because I don't know what's going to happen. If it's a war game, if I'm suddenly pushed back on my heels because I kind of thought the game would go a certain way, but then you made a decision that has, messed with my game a little bit and it's put me back on my heels. Now I'm in jeopardy. I'm back on my heels and then I still win. Well, then that was a more exciting game. It was a more exciting game because it was inclusive. And I didn't just play with people who thought exactly like me. That's the value of inclusivity, is it makes for a better gaming experience. I believe that with all my heart. Better game. And in RPGs, you think differently, so therefore your role play of your character is going to be a little different than mine. And I'm going to be role playing my character, and then something in the two of us riffing off of each other in the role play might create something really different that's never happened before, because all the other games were the same old with the same old people who think the same old way. So we get the same old results. What was it Einstein said? Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. No, we get different results because we've been inclusive and we've included people who think differently and react differently and have different values. And then that causes something different to happen in the game. And that creates a better story, a more exciting game experience. And in the end, you're like, now that was a good game. Why was it a good game? Because it was different. The same old game is not the game you go, that was a good game. You might be like being polite, like, oh, good game, guys. See you next week. All right, good night, George. Good night, Fred. Punch the time clock and leave. I've been to games like that, and the social expectation was, that was a good game. We'd say it. And there was no energy in it was a good game. Okay. Why? Because it was the same old game. Played with same old people. You know how each other thinks. You think and think a lot alike. A lot of similar values in that group. But you can get a better game experience by being more inclusive. That's just cool. I like a good game. I like the games where you're like, now that was a good game. And there's a smile on the face. And the person meant it because they were like, that was a good game. It wasn't, oh, that was a great game, guys. All right, see you next week. Totally different. And one happens because you played with different people who thought differently. And you didn't get what you expected. Okay? Because if you and I have the same values, that's going to lead to some of the same decisions in game. That's why OSR values are to be valued and to be pushed. Only show respect because it leads to a better gaming experience. That's why I like going to conventions. You sit down at a table, you don't know what you're going to get. Okay? And just have a good time. And every convention, every game day I've gone to, I've had a great time. Just people being good people, showing respect. And they showed respect because they didn't talk politics. They didn't push politics. They didn't push religion. They didn't push some social issue. Hey, we're here to game. Why? Because gaming meets a social need in the human social animal. And there's a value to that. And so we show respect We sit at the gaming table. This is why I'm not going to cancel anyone. Don't care if you voted for political doofus or, political dingleberry. Because if I only game with the people who voted for the same political doofus I vote for, that means I'm voting with people who think the same way as me. I'll get a less of a gaming experience. Better game with more inclusivity. That's OSR values. Only show respect. We don't cancel anyone. Come to the table, show respect. If you can be respectful, game on. Roll them dice. You're welcome at my table. Because the gaming table is about gaming. We go to church, that's about church. Go to the voting booth, that's about politics. Go to work, that's about work. Different social settings, different social rules. Social rules at the gaming table are OSR. Only show respect. So I developed this. I didn't develop it. I talked about it, and somebody else did the graphic design. Really appreciated them donating it. I consider it a free thing. You want to support OSR values? Take the image, use it, put it on your blog, put it on your YouTube, put it on your podcast. I don't care. I care about the values. I care about gaming. So you want to use it, use it. We've got some stuff in our store. There's a link, some merch that supports this program. We're not getting rich on that. Clearly, we're not getting rich on that. It pays for new equipment, for new technology, new green screen technology, hopefully in the future. I would keep this thing going, doing what we do. If you have a value to that, then, maybe buy a piece of merch. We have some OSR value merch in there and some other stuff for things we're concerned about, namely Star Frontiers, because that's my favorite. But there is OSR swag in the store. If you just want a coffee cup or a t-shirt or, even a sticker. I think there's stickers in there as well. But, OSR, we only show respect. Okay. We're inclusive. It's a better gaming experience. Okay. I'm not interested in excluding anyone. Not interested in canceling anyone. Come game. That's where I'm at. The jerks, they're going to be there. Even if aliens abducted them today, some other jerk could raise his ugly head down the road. Can't be helped. We call them out, sure. And at some point, we're just not even going to be able to laugh anymore at the buffoonery coming out of that one individual. But for now, they say something hateful, spiteful. We call them out for that. We make fun of them. We belittle them. They deserve it. Okay? They're being a jerk. They won't quit. They keep it up week in, week out. They're just a jerk. All right. And they're a scared little man-child who's afraid. And they're lashing out because they're afraid. And they're alone and they have a loss of control and it causes them to lash out. That's where we're at. Those people will always be there. Always going to be there. But I'm glad that there's more of you, good people. You're who I want to game with. And you're who I'm glad to game with. I'm glad to be in a hobby with you. Because there's more of us than there are of the jerks. And I take pleasure in that. I take pleasure in knowing that they're good people who have value, who have respect, who have dignity, who have ethics. And, you've guys shown me that. You've guys shown me that. Eric calls out the buffoonery. I call it out. Other people do. And some of you chorus in. Hey, yeah, enough of that. That's low rent, low class. Knock that stuff off. Just shows me you're good people. And that makes you the best people to game with. Other good people. Some of you think differently than I do. Fantastic. Makes the world better. Makes gaming better. And that's kind of cool. So this is a great hobby. We're great people. The jerks can never rule it unless we let them. We just call them out. Shine a light. A lot of them run. A lot of them run like cockroaches when the light shines on them. So we just do that. And we stand up for what's right. We stand up for what's good. And we show respect. So this is Tom from Tabletop Tap Room. I want to thank my subscribers. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Thanks for watching this video. If you're not a subscriber, but you watched it, please promote OSR values. We only show respect. Grab the logo and use it if you want or not. Up to you. But it's the value that's important. Logo, whatever. It's the values. We have good values because we're good people. That's all there is to it. And I'm glad to know you. I'm glad to game with you. Look forward to sitting with you at a convention sometime.